Hello, Oakview families. I am Mr. Gaudet, the proud principal here at Oakview. Wanted to go over some back to school, return to school procedures, and give you all some important information. I apologize that this is coming out at the end of the week. It's been very tricky to navigate all the changes and all that needs to be done in preparation for students arriving. And so we kind of wanted to ensure we had the most up-to-date and accurate information before sending it and sharing it with everybody. And then also making sure that we had everything in place for kids coming back. So I appreciate everybody's patience. And as things may get changed, we will be sure to communicate. I will be sure to push out new information regularly. And I apologize for that. There'll just be a lot of communication more so in the past just because things seem to be changing frequently. And so I want to make sure that you have the most up-to-date information. But if you ever have any questions, you can always reach out to me. My email address is dgaudet, D-G-A-U-D-E-T, at wcpss.net. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And I will also share out this presentation so that you can view it at your leisure too. I'm also going to solicit feedback afterwards just to see if you like the style of presentation. We're pondering whether to do a live presentation, but we knew that we had material pickup today, which is Thursday, and yesterday, Wednesday, and then tomorrow is a teacher workday, so there's no school and parents might be out of town. So we weren't sure if a live session would get the amount of people that we needed. So hopefully you can watch this, when it's most appropriate for you and your family. All right, schedules. So I've set out information schedules and the more awesome news, but we are running our traditional bell schedule from 9:15 to 3:45. This will be a link to the detailed cohort schedule, which has been in the more awesome news. It's a spreadsheet that has a tab at the bottom for each of the cohorts, A, B, and C. Remember now, you might see cohort 1 that's the same as A, B, and 2, and C, and 3. So you can look to see all the specific days. So our regional programs in pre-K to 3rd grade are going to start on October 26th with cohort A. And then remember with Plan B, it's 1 week on and then 2 weeks off. So after next week, we go to cohort B and then C, and then starting on November 16th, this again is for regional program and pre-K to 3rd grade, all students will return to campus on November 16th. For 5th grade, we are talking about November 16th as the start of the rotations. So they're going to continue virtually until November 16th, but then they will start to transition in on November 16th again with cohort A, B, and C. You'll see that there are only 2 rotations in prior to the end of the first semester for 4th and 5th grade students. Again, if you click on the detailed cohort schedule, you'll see all of that specific information. Wanted to emphasize the different vocabulary that the county and state are using, whether it's remote learning day or remote learning day asynchronous. The remote learning days are the days that were set by the Department of Instruction prior to the school year starting. Those were the 2 days before Thanksgiving, November 23rd and 24th, and then there's a Friday, December 11th. There are no students in the building on those days. There is live instruction on those days. So just like the first quarter has looked with, the 2 to 3 hours of live instruction, just kind of how we did this first quarter, that's what the day is going to look like. Now, the remote learning asynchronous days, those were set by Wake County, and those are going to be the Wednesdays. They're going to be specific Wednesdays, and I put the dates there for everybody to see. Again, they're on the cohort calendar too. Again, we're having no students in the building, and these are not live instruction days. So these are different than the remote learning days. Students will work through assignments posted by teachers. Again, the emphasis here is for students to have less screen time. Oakview will look different, and this is not just Oakview. This is every elementary school in the county. This is every middle school when students come back on November 9th in the county. Even though we are very excited that kids are coming back in the building, it's not going to be like a typical year, and things are going to start slow, and we want families to know that safety and health are our top priorities. And so That is going to be a little bit at the expense of the instruction and the rigor until we get comfortable. But once we get students in the routine of how to behave in COVID in 2020, then we can start to kind of move forward with the instruction and increase the rigor. So we're going to go slow to go fast. So throughout the day, 6 feet for social distancing. So we are going to manage that in classrooms, during transitions outside of classroom hallways, spacing for restrooms, spacing outside for recess. We need to make sure that that's happening throughout the day. Students will be eating lunch in their classroom. Remember, lunches from the school are free until December 31st. We have a system in place for delivery of lunches to the classroom, so students will not need to transition to the cafeteria to get their lunches. We are trying to minimize the amount of transitions in the day, again, for safety and health reasons. We want students not going all over the building, again, because that puts the students and the teachers at risk. So the lunches will be brought to their classroom. The next bullet says recess outside, but no playground. That is based off of Plan B from the county that playgrounds are not to be used. There's conversations happening right now, and I'm not even sure by the time that parents and families see this message if that will be changed. But we will see. So we are hoping to be able to use playgrounds. But again, if the county says we're on Plan B, then we will not be able to use playgrounds. Some of the information that I'm sharing with families is that kids can bring in individual items like balls or jump ropes or different things for recess time, things that they can store in their cubbies. Specials will continue to be accessed virtually. So even though kids are in the building, students will be accessing those specials virtually because those specials teachers will be teaching simultaneously the students in the building that are face-to-face, the students that are face-to-face but remote, and the virtual academy students. And so in order to make that work, the students will still be accessing online through the whole class as a class. So they're going to be staying in their classrooms. And then whether it's through their individual device or through the big screen in the classroom, they'll be participating in specialist classes. We're going to monitor that to see that how that goes. And again, maintaining safety and health. And if we feel like we can transition to having some students access, and again, we have class size limits in the gym, in the art room, in the music room, so that prevents us from putting every kid in there. We're just going to kind of go slow and see how that works because we know kids want to go and see, live their Miss Martin, or Miss Mielnick. So we're working on that, but for now, we're going to start with students accessing their specialist classes in the classroom. Again, minimizing transitions. Students need to wear a face covering for the entire day. There are face mask breaks that we will take, but it's good. The teachers I know have been practicing over the last couple of weeks with students wearing it, and I know that students unfortunately have gotten used to it in the last 7 months. We are not able to have volunteers in the building, minimizing parents and family in the building, just because again of all the screening and the less interactions, the safer and healthier Oakview will be. Student accountability and required health protocols. This is a link that just goes over some of the responsibilities for students when they get back in the building. There is a return to campus family guide that has lots of pages with good information. So if you have specific questions, again, you can always reach out to me or to your teacher, but looking there, you might find your answers. In the student accountability and required health protocols, there's a form that students need to fill out and bring back in. And essentially, it's just saying that kind of things based off of the previous slide that students need to make sure they're keeping their social distance, they're wearing the mask, they're following the protocols and procedures outlined by the state. Nothing totally new or unrealistic, but it's good to review that with your child just so they have the understanding of what school is going to look like. When students come to the building, there's going to be a daily symptom screening and temperature check. Again, students are going to be wearing a mask, maintaining social distance, and washing hands frequently throughout the day. All of the classrooms have been installed with the hand sanitizer machines, and so it's electronic. They don't need to touch it to squeeze anything. They just put their hand underneath and it comes out. Morning carpool. I hear that carpool runs very smoothly here. We hope it's going to continue to run smoothly. There are some new procedures. Still, entry points are still going to be the exact same. Coming in when you're facing the school on the right side, there is going to be 3 parking spots that will be for arrival for carpools, and there'll be people out there guiding traffic, so don't feel like you have to memorize this information. There'll be a lot of people out showing you what you need to do. Students are going to remain in the cars until, and this is again is a policy by the county, they have to stay in the cars until they've completed and passed the health screening. All parties in the vehicle need to be wearing masks. Again, we ask, this is again for the safety and health of the students, but also the people out there working. We ask that when you pull into Oakview, when you're on campus, that you're wearing a mask. Rolling down the windows so that we can take the students' temperatures, because again, we're not allowed to let students out of the car until we've taken their temperature and they've passed the health screening test. The questions can be answered for all the students in the vehicle by an adult. But unfortunately, if one student does not pass the screening, then the whole car does not pass, again, because the car would then have been exposed to a student who could potentially be sick. So no COVID, no symptoms, no temperature, are kind of the no answers. And after completing the health screening temperature checks, after completing the health screening question, the temperature checks will take place. More morning carpool. So the car door may be open to assist with temperature checks, but students may not exit again until all the steps are complete. Staff members will be checking temperatures. If the student's temperature is 100.3 or lower, they can exit and get to class. If the student's temperature is 100.4 or higher, they will be asked to proceed to the visitor parking. So as you're pulling along the school, when you get to the Owls, if you pull up slightly past the main entrance, there's parking spaces right there. So after 5 minutes, we retake temperatures. And if the second temperature indicates a temperature of 100.4 or higher, the person will be sent home. If it's lower than 100.4, then a third temperature check will be required after 5 more minutes. And if they pass that, then they will come into the building. Again, we're going to have hand sanitizer stations set up. If students forget masks, we're going to have extra masks in the front of the building as well. Afternoon carpool, all parties in the vehicle again need to be wearing a mask. Cars should have their child's number posted. Those numbers were in the material bag pickup, or if you are unable to come for material pickup, we will have those bags in the main office. Students are going to remain in their class until their numbers posted on the screen. Then there's different colored owls that we're going to have in front of the school, again with staff guiding students as they exit the building. And then when cars go up to the appropriate colored owl, the students will move into the car. The staff will be out there to make sure that students are maintaining that 6 feet of social distancing. So there'll be less kids at a time exiting for carpool. So it's the same procedure as it's been in the past, but it's just going to be a little bit slower because we can have less kids out there because of social distancing. But also remember that about 50% of our population is virtual academy, and during the first 3 weeks, we only have one cohort in a time. So we're talking at most 150 students for the first week, second week, and third week. So even though these carpool procedures are going to take a little bit longer, with a significantly smaller amount of students, hopefully it'll counterbalance and not take too long. Morning walkers. So again, all family members need to wear masks. Just gonna try to hit that home on every slide. We need to have parents or guardians accompany their walkers to school. Again, this is because if a student fails their screening or their temperature check, then they're going to need to go home, and we do not feel comfortable sending students home by themselves. There's going to be a temperature check and health screening area by the playground around the track. And again, if students pass the screening, they will proceed to the rear entrance of the building. And then if they fail, it's going to be the same process as was for carpool. There's going to be another bench out there where they're going to be able to wait and be checked again after 5 minutes. And the same process as carpool will happen again with the walkers. Afternoon walkers, again, everybody needs to wear a mask. Families will meet their child by the playground near the track, and students must be accompanied by their guardian to leave campus. We're going to post the numbers just like we did for carpool for afternoon walkers as well. It's the same system, but we ask again that everyone's wearing masks and that parents and guardians come to pick up their child. Buses and cabs. Face coverings must be worn on the bus at all time. Transportation sent out rosters this week, so hopefully you received that information. If you did not, you can reach out to the school. Again, you can reach out to me and we can get you that information. There is an attestation form that transportation sent. It's kind of like the health guideline form too, just saying that parents are doing health screenings at home and taking temperatures before putting their kids on the bus, because the bus is not going to take temperatures. So when kids get on the bus, they're going to be seated to maximize social distancing. So they're going to be spaced apart in rows. Again, this will be a little bit easier the first few weeks as the numbers are, again, significantly lower with the virtual academy students not coming to school and only one cohort at a time. Students will have their temperatures checked at school as they get off the bus. Buses are going to be cleaned and disinfected between routes. They have specific protocols that they're following. So we feel really good about all that they have in place. Breakfast, snack, and lunch. Students will remove face coverings to eat in a class. Students, again, will eat in a classroom. Students eating breakfast will pick it up in the morning and bring to their classroom to eat. Teachers will complete lunch orders in the morning, so they'll be able to fill out forms to let the cafeteria know who's going to be eating lunch in their classroom. And then again, we have staff members who will be bringing lunches to the classrooms to deliver them at the lunchtime. That lunchtime is going to be it's the same schedule that we have now. It's going to be 11:30 to 1 o'clock, where your K2 are going to eat at 11:30, 3-5 are going to eat at 12:15, and then recess is the opposite. So 3-5 will have recess from 11:30 to 12:15, and then K2 will have recess from 12:15 to 1 o'clock. School lunch is free until December 31st, so feel free to take advantage of that. Recess. So students will have a mask break at recess. Again, they'll learn about kind of what that looks like, and you need to increase a little bit of your social distance when you have a mask break to 8 to 10 feet and be outside. So that'll be nice, a good break for students. So again, it says in Plan B, the playground equipment is closed. So for now, we haven't heard any guidance on that, but again, that may change. And if it changes in the next day or two, then I'll be sure to update that information in the more awesome news that goes out on Sunday. So students are going to wash and sanitize hands before and after recess. Unfortunately, students are not able to share equipment. So they can't play catch, they can't bounce a ball back and forth. Again, that's just guidance from the state, and that's kind of one of those things where school's not going to look, the way it has in the past. That's something that we'll have to get used to. The good thing is that Oakview is the has the most FAST, which is employee students that have been able to come to work for these past first quarter. So we've been able to work out some of these processes with some of those employee students and figuring out what recess can look like if playground equipment is closed, if students aren't able to share. And so the teachers are really creative and already started having conversations and looking at Pinterest for ideas of how students can still play with each other, but be safe and maintain that distance. And then I emphasized this in the beginning, but I wanted to say it again, that students may bring an item for recess to school. Students cannot share the item, but again, if they have a ball, they're a soccer player and they want to practice their juggling, things that they can use independently or things that they can use while somebody's mirroring with their own item, we welcome at the school because it's important for students to be outside and to stay active and have fun during recess because it's just a much needed break in the day. Water fountains. Students are encouraged to bring their own water bottles to school. We have purchased a bunch of paper cups to be filled at the water bottle stations. So those bottle filling stations are going to be open, but the water fountains are not open. So if your child has a water bottle, make sure they bring it every day. If they forget, that's okay. We'll have cups for them to fill. And again, we're using the bottle fill stations. We are not using the actual water fountains. Technology. So students with the Chromebook. So if you checked out a Chromebook through Wake County, they need to bring that to school every day. Students may bring their personal non-Wake County device if parents allow. So if you are okay with your child bringing their device to school, that is totally fine. We can do that. If you are not okay with that, that is also totally fine. We have enough devices at Oakview to support students who don't come to school with a device. So that's not a problem. It's just they might have a greater comfort level with their own devices. Maybe it's the device that they've been using for the past quarter at home and they want to bring it. But again, that is parent decision. But if they do have a Wake County Chromebook, they do need to bring it to school. Students will not share devices. We do have specific cleaning wipes for technology that we are going to utilize. We also have purchased the not extension cables, the power strips for every classroom so that If a child needs to charge their personal device during the day, the teachers will be able to have that because we have laptop carts which have outlets on them. So we're going to plug in those power strips so that students can charge their device over the course of the day. All right, questions and answers. So I want to make sure that I review the questions that were submitted via the Google form. Some of the questions I've already reviewed and based off of the other slides, so I tried not to be tried not to be redundant in the question and answer. So these were questions submitted by the community. And so I will read the question and then read the answer. When will I know if my student will have the same teacher for in-person learning? Students will keep the same teacher for in-person learning for the first semester, which ends right around the middle of January, right around Martin Luther King Day weekend. A window to switch between Virtual Academy and Plan B for the second semester will open during the second quarter. That's going to be December 2nd to December 9th. The number of change requests will dictate if any teachers need to move from Plan B or the Virtual Academy. So what that means is that right now all the numbers are good. The students are going to continue with their same teacher. However, when that window opens on December 2nd, if a lot of students change their plans, so let's say all the students in Miss Smith's third grade class who were virtual for the whole year decide to go to Plan B for the second semester. Well, now Miss Smith will be a Plan B teacher for the second semester. Now, obviously, it's not going to be that clean where all students in one class make that decision. So we will just have to see what happens and how many students switch from Virtual Academy to Plan B or Plan B to Virtual Academy. We have some students who are semester only Virtual Academy. They may choose to go whole year Virtual Academy. We'll just have to look at those numbers and determine if we need to shuffle teachers around. We hope that we don't have to do that because that's not ideal, but we do have to meet the needs that we have, and we can't have class sizes exceed a certain number. So it'll just be dependent on how many people switch their plans. Question 2, can I keep my child at home and log in remotely after she tries in-person learning and she or I don't like the new protocols? So it depends on the grade level. 4th and 5th grade students will not return in full during the first semester. Remember, they're coming on November 16th and they're doing the cohorts where they're only going to be in school for 8 days because they're, remember, on 1 week and off 2 weeks. So those students can remain at home to access remote instructions if parents do not feel comfortable sending them to school. So if you're a Plan B parent and you don't like how things are going when your kid comes to school, you can keep them home and they can just continue to access the curriculum as would any student who is on those 2 weeks when they're kind of tracked out. Kindergarten through 3rd grade have that option until November 16th. So remember, from October 26th to November 16th, they're doing cohorts in K through 3. So if you're still a little bit anxious about having your kid who's in cohort A start on Monday, October 26th, they can stay home and access the way any other student, cohort B or cohort C student is accessing the curriculum. But then on November 16th, all K3 Plan B students are back in the building. So those teachers will no longer be teaching a remote class. Your K3 Plan B teachers will still have to do some remote teaching those first 3 weeks for those kids who are not in school. But on November 16th, all the kids are back in the building. And so you won't be able to access that curriculum, that teacher remotely after November 16th. Hope that makes sense. Again, if not, you can always ask me questions. Is each child going to be sent a schedule for when they are on and off school? So every family should have received a message from me sharing their cohort. That's also on slide 2 of this presentation, so you can access those there. Again, any questions, don't hesitate to reach out about specific schedules. When would I need to bring in my religious exemptions for the mask? The county shared that they are only accepting requests for face covering exemptions for health-related concerns and not religious exemptions. This right here is a link to the face covering accommodation request form, and then that will need to be completed by a doctor. If my child is virtual learning only for the first semester, i.e. returning to school in January, will he keep the same teacher? And I said it will depend on how many families change from Plan B to the Virtual Academy or vice versa. So this is kind of what I answered on the previous slide of it just depends on the numbers and how many kids in that class decide to come back or to stay virtual. Question, which plan will be implemented in January? We do not have the information yet from the county. I know at the board meeting this week, they talked about having 4th and 5th graders join K3 and being in school every day. I hesitate to make predictions about what's going to happen just because things change so frequently. So we don't know yet. Again, for me, the best thing to do is to communicate and over communicate and share as much information and resources as possible, just knowing that things may change. Who will contact me regarding the school bus arrangements? So transportation, we'll be sending, hopefully you've received it already this week. How will specials deal with shared materials and equipment? For example, art supplies, PE sports equipment. Students will not be allowed to share materials equipment. Depending on the teacher or the class, there could be individual manipulatives that students are able to use and then keep, but that's specific to the teacher. But again, they can't be sharing equipment, supplies, materials. How often are common surfaces being sanitized? So common surfaces will be cleaned after lunches and between classes as needed. After school each day, desks and other touch points will be disinfected, and they're using hospital-grade disinfectants in all school facilities. The facility program in Wake County, the department, has been very thorough in explaining what exactly they're going to do. We have a great lead custodian here, and Miss Gloria, and then we have a good relationship with the evening crew, and when they come in, and a protocol for what they need to clean and how they need to clean. So we are communicating with that night crew about any concerns we have or areas that we need focused on for that evening. How do the staff plan on reminding students to keep their hands off their mask and to clean, sanitize their hands? This is just kind of a tough question, and it's a teacher question of why teachers are so wonderful. So this is going to be through a lot of modeling and repetition. Having built-in times where health safety protocols are instituted will help students learn. Again, when you emphasize some of the things from the safety and health forms that you need to sign and complete for your child before coming into the building. So I think like everything, it's a collaborative, it's a team effort between the school and the family. So making sure that you're following up at home. We're going to be following up, modeling it. The staff is going to be doing it. The staff has been wearing masks. The staff has been keeping socially distant for this first quarter, but practicing those protocols. We worked in public education for, 16, 17 years now, and then you can't be 100% certain, and students are certainly going to do things that they're not supposed to, but it's our job to teach them and to model. And with any kind of behavior, you have to teach the appropriate expectations and practice it so the kids understand it. And we know that it's going to take time. And again, that's why I said going slow to go fast. Do staff have discretion in sending home students who look symptomatic? Students showing symptoms will be sent. We have a COVID care room. From this room, families will be contacted to pick up their child. So if a student is showing any of the symptoms, coughing, headache, complaining of being warm, and sick, feeling sick, they'll be sent to the COVID care room, and then from the COVID care room, we will be calling and contacting parents to come pick up their child. And then, people always ask, well, can my kid come the next day? So again, it goes back to that screening and the temperature check at the beginning. If they can answer those questions, do they have they been in close contact within, sorry, I'm reading the card with the 3 questions, close contact within 6 feet for the last 15 minutes in the last 14 days with someone diagnosed with COVID-19? Do they have any symptoms? Fever, new cough, new shortness of breath, new loss of taste? And then the third one is diagnosed with COVID-19 within the past 10 days. So if they can answer no to those questions and pass the temperature check, then they can come back the next day. How do staff plan on keeping students socially distant? So through, again, lots of modeling and repetition, but then also we have been lining the school. So we've got blue tape, we've got dots down that are 6 feet apart from each other. We've marked things outside on the track. So everywhere we've done that. We've shut down certain stalls and urinals in the bathroom to ensure that students are being socially distant. We have marked capacity limits on certain rooms so we know how many students are able to be in a room and maintain social distance. So lots of different things that we're doing to support that. Approximately how many kids per classroom? So approximately 50% of our students are in the virtual academy, so about 450. When students return to the building, they'll be in cohorts, which will put the class sizes. So the next 3 weeks in K3, it'll be about 5 to 9 students, just depending on the teacher. When all the K3 kids are back, those class sizes will jump, let's say, to an average of 20 kids in those classes. And then the 4-5, remember, will remain in cohorts until starting on November 16th and end in at the end of the first semester. So again, we're talking about a third in those classes, so probably ranging from 8 to 12 kids in 4 or 5 when they come back into the building. Are they supposed to bring their supplies from the box in on Monday and take home on Friday? Are they sharing supplies? How will this work? I wasn't exactly sure what box meant, but yes, students will bring in their own supplies, and teachers have been communicating what those supplies are. And again, there's not sharing. So what they bring on Monday, they're taking home on Friday. What are seating arrangements going to look like? So students are seated away from each other to maximize social distancing. We are trying to get the students as much as possible to face the same direction because that's guidance too. Just know that with cohorts, the number of students in the classroom allows for spacing. When K3 comes back on November 16th in full, so all the kids are back, we are going to continue to keep kids as socially distant as possible, but we have some flexibility in there in that 6 feet, as currently K5 is in Plan A via the governor. So we are still going to socially distance as best possible, but the kids won't be as seated as far away as they will during the first 3 weeks when we're in cohorts. My children are new to school. How would they know where to go on the first day of school? This is an all hands on deck. I'm excited for this because this will be my first time having kids into the building. So we have a plan for where the general teachers, the face-to-face teachers are going to be outside their classroom door. All the virtual academy teachers are going to be in the hallways at certain hot points. Administrators, instructional support staff, instructional assistants, people have duties. So there's going to be lots of staff to help direct students to their classrooms. And again, it's really nice because this first 3 weeks, we are talking about 150 students total going to be in the building for 1 week at a time. So we're really, and we're a staff of close to 100. So we're going to be able to support the needs of the kids and get them where they need to go. Where do I drop them off on the first day of school? You will see a carpool line again when you're facing the school. It's on the right side. So follow the line. Follow the line. We chose virtual academies for the first semester, but now due to work situations with both parents, we need to do the in-person schooling. How would we be able to change to in-person? At this time, the county is not allowing families to transition from Plan B to the virtual academy or vice versa. The change can only happen at the second semester. And again, that window opens up December 2nd to 9. What are seating arrangements going to look like? Students will be seated away from each other to maximize social distancing with cohorts. The number of students allows for the spacing. What will the school day look like for Plan B students who are in school on their rotation versus the Plan B students who are virtual due to their rotation? Can in-school students expect their live instruction at a different time than the virtual Plan B students? This would be greatly preferred. There's no way to teach them at different times because the teacher doesn't have enough time in the day where they're going to be able to just focus on the kids who are remote or just focusing on the kids that are face-to-face. So the teachers will be teaching both the remote and face-to-face students simultaneously at different points during the day. So the expectation for the county is that students will get at least an hour of live instruction when they are remote, when they're Plan B remote students. And so there's going to be different points of the day, whether it's reading, writing, math, specials, where the students who are not in the building will have to log in, participate in the lesson, and then have to work on asynchronous activities outside. That is how that's going to work. And again, teachers are just amazing and incredible how they're going to try to figure out how to balance, instructing the kids that are in the building and the kids that are outside. Since students in 4th and 5th grade Plan B are only going back to school on a 3-week rotation this semester, the bulk of their learning will still be virtual. It would be really nice if they did not have any or very little technology screen usage when they were at school as a break from the rest of their learning. This is a great point, great question. So there are different instructional strategies that the teachers are going to use because the teachers recognize that kids have been on screens for an entire quarter. So they're, good old-fashioned paper and pencil are going to be utilized to support as much as possible. There are going to be times when kids have to use technology just because, like I said, they're going to be accessing specials in their classroom via technology. So there are going to be things that they're just going to have to do on computers. There's no way to get rid of it 100%, but teachers are cognizant of the fact that when kids are here, they want them not as in front of technology as much as possible. And they're going to try to do that, but just know that that's going to be impossible to do all the time because of just some of the needs. And again, the technology also helps with the safety and health of the students, ensuring that they're 6 feet apart. Since social emotional is so important right now, can the requirement to be 8 to 10 feet apart with masks on the playground be loosened a bit? It's important that students have a chance to see their friends and run around outside in the fresh air without the restraints of their face coverings. So health and safety are our top priorities. People are trusting us with their children, and we need to ensure we are following the guidelines outlined by the CDC and the NCDHHS. So I understand the concern, and we will try to incorporate as many positive interactions that kids can have, but still following the expectations and guidelines set by the CDC, by the state, by Wake County. Because even though we're all educators and we want to ensure that students are being kids and learning, not just academically, but socially, emotionally, our top priority always is health and safety. And so if we're doing that, we can figure out how to make everything else work. That is the last slide. I apologize. That is a lot of me talking at you. But again, I will share this presentation so you can go through it. If you have questions or concerns, again, you can always reach out to me. I'm quickest by email. That's dgaudet at wcpss.net. Like I said, I will be sending lots of updates in the coming weeks and coming months about things that are new or things that have changed. I'm also going to send out a Google form just to see if you like this presentation style, or if you would prefer something different. Again, your feedback is greatly appreciated. Again, I can't say how excited I am to be here at Oakview with you all. It's been a wonderful first month, and I'm super thrilled, excited, privileged, and I'm bringing my first grader, my oldest son, Nick, is coming with me on Monday, so I'm excited for him to come back. This is a great community, and I'm just lucky. So thank you, everybody, and I hope everybody has a great rest of the week and a great weekend. And we will see our Plan B students in Cohort A on Monday.